Hi, my name is Hillary, and this is going to be a current trends case brief on the criminal case R vs. Ross 2018. The accused was convicted of the second-degree murder of Leroy Ross after a trial before a judge and jury. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole eligibility for 15 years. The three co-accused were also convicted of manslaughter. The accused appealed his conviction. The group is made up of Dennis Kirkness and his sister Amy Kirkness. Kirkness is the uncle to both the accused and the victim. The accused argued that the verdict was unreasonable because it was based on an unreasonable finding of credibility in respect to Kirkness, the only witness who testified that he saw the accused assault the victim. A dispute had apparently occurred between the victim and the three co-accused, thus resulting in the victim being beaten unconscious by all three co-accused. The three co-accused then dragged the victim out through the back door of the house, where they left him unconscious in the backyard. Later, the accused went to the victim and kicked him at least 3 times in the head. When Kirkness tried to intervene, the accused told him to go back inside or he would do the same to him. The victim ended up being found in the backyard after several hours by police and was taken to the hospital where he later died from a head trauma. There were 2 main issues that were brought up in this case. Did the jury fail to relate to the evidence to the trial issue of specific intent, and was there sufficient evidence of intention to commit murder? The decision reached by the appellate court was they had dismissed the appeal. When reviewing the quality of the jury's verdict based on its assessment of a witness's credibility, an appellate court must treat the verdict with great defense. The accused argued that the verdict was unreasonable because Kirkness was the only witness. The only witness who testified had saw the accused assault the victim. The accused argued that no jury acting judicially could have rendered the verdict because Kirkness's evidence was unreliable. The accused pointed to the following major areas of concern: Kirkness's state of sobriety at the time of the incident, his inconsistent and vague accounts of the location and positioning of the victim's body, his inconsistent evidence regarding speaking with Amy Kirkness, and what the accused's characteristics of Kirkness's admission of perjury with respect to his evidence at the preliminary hearing was. The Crown admitted that Kirkness was difficult and reluctant as a witness. Kirkness was testifying against his nephew, the accused, and his niece, one of the co-accused, in front of several other family members in connection with the death of another nephew, the victim. English was not his first language, and he required assistance from a Cree interpreter at the trial. However, despite the problems with Kirkness's evidence, the Crown submits that the jury was not precluded from accepting the core of his evidence. Despite Kirkness's state of mind and him being his only witness, the jury charge was sufficient as it allowed for the jurors to understand the evidence needed to consider determining whether or not the Crown had proven beyond a reasonable doubt and that the accused had the proper intentions for murder. Another issue raised was if the verdict of second-degree murder is being unreasonable and should not be supported by evidence. A verdict is unreasonable or not supported by the evidence if a properly instructed jury acting judicially could not have reasonably rendered the verdict. The accused argued that the evidence as a whole was unable to support a conviction for second-degree murder. He says that even if the evidence of Kirkness was believed, it supported no more than a conviction for manslaughter. The accused submits that there was no evidence capable of supporting a finding that, in assaulting the victim, the accused either meant to kill him or meant to cause the victim serious bodily harm where he knew it would likely kill him, proceeding with assault despite that knowledge. The accused argued that there was no evidence of prior hostility between him and the victim and that the nature of the kicks were, as described by Kirkness, supported no more than an interference of an intention to commit assault. So the question I've come up with is if you agree that the jury charge was sufficient and the verdict was reasonable.